that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Hey there, YouTube. I'm back again to read some more rules, and today I'm reading the rules for Forbidden Island. This is for 2 to 4 players, ages 10 plus. The contents of the game include 58 cards, 24 double-sided island tiles, 6 wooden pawns, 4 treasure figures, 1 water marker, and 1 water level marker. So, the object of the game, your team of adventurers must work together to keep Forbidden Island from sinking in order to buy enough time to capture its 4 treasures. Once you've captured them, you must make it to Fool's Landing and escape by helicopter to win. If, however, the island sinks before you can complete your task, the mission ends in defeat. Setup. Create Forbidden Island. Shuffle the 24 island tiles and randomly place them face up, non-blue and white side, into a grid as follows. First, make a 4x4 square of tiles in the center of the playing area. Then place 2 tiles next to each of the 2 middle tiles on every side of the square. Important note, leave a small gap between the tiles. This forms Forbidden Island and your pawns will move on it like a game board. Place the treasures. Place the 4 treasure figurines, the Earthstone, the Statue of the Wind, the Crystal of Fire, and the Ocean's Chalice, around the island. Your team will try to capture these treasures during the course of the game by discarding 4 matching treasure cards on a corresponding island tile. Take a moment to locate the 8 tiles on which you can claim treasures. Each treasure can be claimed on one of the 2 tiles as indicated by the symbol in the bottom left corner. Divide the cards. Separate the cards into 3 decks according to card back. Flood deck, which is the blue back, treasure deck, the red back, and adventure cards, 6 cards. The island starts to sink. Shuffle the flood deck and place it face down on the side of the island to form the flood draw pile. Draw the top 6 cards, one at a time, and place them face up next to the draw pile to form the flood discard pile. For each card drawn, flip the corresponding island tile over to its flooded blue and white side. The adventurers appear. Shuffle the 6 adventurer cards and randomly deal 1 to each player. Each of you will take on the role of an adventurer with a special power that only you can do during the game. Take a moment to read aloud your roles and powers written on the bottom of the cards, so that your teammates know your strengths. You'll find the game will be easier to win if you cooperate and take advantage of these special powers. Take a pawn matching the color of your adventurer card and place it on the corresponding island tile. Look for the matching pawn's icon in the lower right corner of the gates and Fool's Landing tiles. Put any extra adventurer cards and pawns back in the box. Note, it's okay to start on a flooded tile. Hand out treasure deck cards. Thoroughly shuffle the treasure deck and deal 2 cards to each player. Place your cards face up in front of you so that both you and your teammates can easily see them. If anyone gets a Water Rise card, give them a replacement card and shuffle the Water Rise card back into the treasure deck. Place the treasure deck face down by one side of the island. Note, there will be a treasure discard pile right next to the treasure deck. Set the water level. Place the water level marker on the left side of the water meter and set it to the appropriate starting difficulty level according to the type of game you want to play. For example, if this is your first time playing a cooperative game, set it to the novice level. Note, you may look through both treasure and flood discard piles at any time during the game. Order of play. The player who last visited an island goes first, and play continues to the left. On every turn, do the following 3 things in order. Step 1. Take up to 3 actions. Step 2. Draw 2 treasure deck cards. Step 3. Draw flood cards equal to the water level. The parts of each turn are described below. Also note that the back of every adventurer card shows a quick reference guide. Step 1. Take up to 3 actions. You may take up to 3 actions each turn. Could be 0, 1, or 2. Your teammates are allowed and encouraged to give you advice on the best actions to take during your turn. Select a combination of any of the following 4 actions. Move, shore up, give a treasure card, capture a treasure. Move. You may, for 1 or more actions, move your pawn to an adjacent island tile, either up, down, left, or right, but never diagonally. You may move onto a flooded tile, but not move onto or over the space of a missing tile. Exception. The explorer may also move diagonally. The pilot may move to any tile once per turn for 1 action. The navigator may move other players up to 2 adjacent tiles per action. And the diver may move through 1 or more adjacent missing and or flooded tiles for 1 action. Shore up. You may, for 1 or more actions, shore up any adjacent tile, up, down, left, or right, or the island tile your pawn is on. To shore up a tile, simply flip it over so its unflooded side is face up. Exceptions. The engineer may shore up to 2 tiles for 1 action, and the explorer may also shore up tiles diagonally. Give a treasure card. You may give 1 or more of your treasure cards to another player if both of your pawns are on the same island tile. It costs 1 action for each card you give away. See hand limit for restrictions. You may not give special action cards. Exceptions? The messenger may give cards without having to be on the same tile. Capture a treasure. You may for 1 action capture a treasure by discarding 4 matching treasure cards from your hand, if your pawn is on either corresponding island tile. When you capture a treasure, discard cards to the treasure discard pile and move the figurine in front of you. You may capture a treasure on a flooded tile. Draw 2 treasure deck cards. After taking actions, you must draw 2 cards from the top of the treasure deck and add them to your face-up hand. Draw cards one at a time. If you draw a Water Rise card, do not add it to your hand, but follow the instructions on the card and then discard it to the treasure discard pile. Treasure cards. There are 5 of each treasure card in the treasure deck. The aim is to collect 4 of the same treasure card in order to find the corresponding treasure of Forbidden Island. You can give treasure cards to other players using the Give a Treasure card action. Special action cards. There are 2 types of special action cards in the treasure deck: helicopter lifts, 3, and sandbags, 2, that will help your team during the game. These cards are taken into your hand and can be played at any time, even on another player's turn. Playing a special action card does not require an action. Discard these cards to the treasure discard pile immediately when played. Note, you may use the power of a special action card if you are forced to discard it. Water Rise cards. There are 3 Water Rise cards in the treasure deck. When you draw a Water Rise card, you must immediately do the following. Move the water level marker up to cover the next tick mark on the water meter. Note how many cards will now be drawn at the end of your turn by looking at the number on the right of the meter. Take all the cards from the flood discard pile, shuffle them, and then place them face down on top of the flood draw pile. This means that previously drawn cards will be drawn again soon. Discard the Water Rise card to the treasure discard pile. Notes: if you draw a Water Rise cards, you do not get a replacement card. If you draw 2 Water Rise cards in a row, shuffle the flood discard pile only once, but move the water level marker up 2 tick marks. If you draw a Water Rise card, but there are no cards in the flood discard pile, just move the water level marker up 1 tick mark. When the treasure deck runs out. When the last card of the treasure deck is drawn, immediately shuffle the treasure discard pile and turn it over to form a new treasure deck. Hand limit. You may only have 5 cards in your hand, including treasure and special action cards. If you ever find that you have 6 or more cards, for example because you drew more cards or received cards from another player, you must immediately choose and discard the excess to the treasure discard pile. If you choose to discard a special action card, you may use its action before discarding. Draw flood cards. After drawing 2 treasure cards, you must now take on the role of Forbidden Island. Draw a number of cards from the top of the flood draw pile equal to the current water meter level. For example, if the level is at 3, draw 3 cards. Draw cards one at a time and place them face up onto the flood discard pile. For each card drawn, find the matching island tile and do one of the following. If the matching island tile is unflooded, flip it over to its flooded side. If the matching island tile is already flooded, it sinks into the abyss. Remove it and the matching flood card from the game and place them out of play. Note: you cannot play a sandbag card to save a flooded tile once you've revealed the matching flood card. Pawns on flooded tiles. If a pawn is on a tile that becomes flooded, lift the pawn off the tile, flip it, and then return the pawn to the tile. If a pawn is on a tile that must be removed, it must immediately swim to an adjacent tile, up, down, left, or right, that is still part of the island, even flooded. If a pawn is on a tile that is removed and cannot move to an adjacent tile, it sinks into the abyss, and everyone loses the game. Exceptions: the diver may swim to the nearest tile, the explorer may swim diagonally, the pilot may fly to any tile. When the flood draw pile runs out. If the flood draw pile ever runs out, immediately shuffle the flood discard pile and stack the cards face down to form a new flood draw pile. If this happens in the middle of a turn, continue drawing flood cards as necessary from the new pile. Game end. Winning the game. Get to Fool's Landing. Once you've collected all 4 treasures, everyone must move their pawns to the Fool's Landing tile. Then one player must discard a helicopter lift card to lift your team off of Forbidden Island for the win. Note: you may win if Fool's Landing is flooded. Losing the game. There are 4 possible ways to lose. First, if both temples, caves, palaces, or garden tiles sink before you collect their respective treasures. Second, if the Fool's Landing tile sinks. Third, if any player is on an island tile that sinks and there is no adjacent tile to swim to. Fourth, if the water level reaches the skull and crossbones. Difficulty. Once you've won the novice game, try starting the water level at the normal, elite, or legendary difficulty settings. Also, try playing with a different mix of adventurers. That's the rules for Forbidden Island. If this helped you out, please consider giving it a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing or supporting the Patreon. But go have some fun, and thanks for your time. This video is brought to you by all of my amazing Patreon supporters, and I would love it if you would join their ranks and have your name immortalized in the end of many of my videos for the end of time. But consider for only $1 a month, and as always, thanks for stopping by.